This is the AEW Dynamite May 28, 2025 full show results video, which takes place at El Paso County Coliseum in El Paso, Texas. Toni Schiavone is in the ring and he introduces your 2025 Owen Hart Foundation tournament winner and #1 contender to the AEW World Championship, Hangman Adam Page. Hangman says a double or nothing. Two men entered the ring and knew one of them would leave defeated. So before he says anything else, he thanks Will Ospreay for the fight of the life and for reminding him why he decided to do this in the first place and dispelling any notion that Will isn't the type of man who can carry the company forward, because he can. He takes the Owen belt off and gives it to Schiavone before turning back to the camera and says 7 months the title has been hidden from the world, locked away in a briefcase, and to Hangman the title was to be a shining light to show the world what these 3 letters meant: competition, creativity, compassion, passion, and the human dignity with which we all treat each other. Tonight he makes to us a promise. In 7 weeks, here in Texas, he will win the AEW World Championship, free it from that briefcase, hold it over his head for all to see, he will carry it and defend it with every ounce of his being, and that is a promise that he will keep. Then Swerve Strickland makes his entrance, and Swerve offers a video explanation as to why he's here, and it's the Young Bucks promo as to why they cost Strickland the title at Dynasty, that they did it for Hangman. Shane says at Dynasty he had the same opportunity that Hangman will have it all in, and he had the title won, and then the Young Bucks showed up and cost him the title, but who else was in the arena that night? It's you, Page. Page takes his measure and lifts the mic to his face, and he calls Swerve a dumbass before saying at Dynasty he locked eyes on Swerve and then on Jon Moxley, and for one godforsaken second he thought about helping him. If he wanted to cost Shane the match he would have done it to his face because he has done it before. Strickland takes a few steps back and says that sounds good, but Page is still full of shit and they go face to face and tempers flare. Then comes Will Ospreay and gets in the ring and gets between them. He turns to Shane and says he hates to get involved in his business, he's looked up to him since he was 12 and sees him as a big brother, but Swerve is wrong about Page. Page helped him up and shook his hand and Will looked in his eyes and he knew in that moment that Adam wants what's best for this place. Ospreay had a similar moment when he lost to Strickland last year, and people are starting to believe in them again, and he loves Swerve and he hates to say this, but it's not Swerve, and it's not him, it's Hangman. They have one shot at this, and they can make this easier on Page if they all work together. The 3 of them, Swerve swats the microphone out of his hand. Shane gets up on Hangman, Will gets between them again, and Shane says he will never work with Page and storms out. Ospreay goes to Hangman and Adam says he won't do this, he won't take help from Strickland, ever, and he leaves the ring with a dark cloud hanging over him and Will frustrated that he couldn't make them see reason. Then we saw a mixed match between Death Riders versus Mark Briscoe, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Willow Nightingale, and the result of this match was Death Riders won the match by referee stoppage with the Bulldog choke from Jon Moxley on Mark Briscoe. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford cut a promo about how Anna Jay and Harley Cameron are gonna be their sacrifice. Back from commercial, Ricochet cuts a promo and says he's starting to get the lay of the land and see the landscape for what it is. Death Riders, Don Callis family, the Ops, Hurt Syndicate, Ricochet needs a crew, baby. And once he finds them, he'll show why Ricochet is simply out of this world, annoying bird laugh. Then we saw a no disqualification match between Anna Jay and Harley Cameron versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Ford laying chops in on Jay on the outside, whip into the barricade, Bayne has Cameron set up in the corner but cannonballs into the turnbuckles when Harley dodges. Cameron with a DDT on Penelope, Megan cuts her off, Anna clocks Bayne with a 2x4 and then Harley nails her from behind with a steel pipe. Cameron trying for a powerbomb off the apron, Bayne is hanging in there, Jay clobbers her twice, she's still hanging in there, chair shots, Harley Cameron powerbombs Megan Bayne through a table. Up on the apron, Ford knocks her to the floor, Anna cuts her off, gory bomb into a chair, but Megan breaks it up. Hits Fate's Descent that puts Anna Jay into a chair, but Harley comes out of nowhere TP break it up. In the end, the result of this match was Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford won the match by pinfall with a Doomsday device on Harley Cameron. The next match happened between Frat House versus the Ops, and the result of this match was the Ops defeated Frat House by pinfall with a spinning spinebuster from Powerhouse Will Hobbs on Cole Carter. Back from the commercial, Renee Paquette interviews Jamie Hayter in the ring. Hayter admits that what's next is the question for her and the lights go out. They come back up and a half Biohazard half Spider half Skull logo appears on the screen and Thekla is in the ring. She lays Jamie out, turns, spider walk for the camera, Hayter crawls up the aisle. The next match happened between Adam Cole vs Kyle Fletcher for the AEW TNT Championship, and the result of this match was Adam Cole won the match by disqualification when Josh Alexander appears and lays Adam Cole out, forcing referee to call the bell. Post-match, Fletcher and Alexander put boots to Cole over Knox's objections, but Brody King makes the save. Then we saw a AEW International Championship qualifying match between Brody King vs Josh Alexander, and the result of this match was Brody King defeated Josh Alexander by pinfall with the Ganso Bomb, qualifying for the AEW International Championship 4-way match next week. Kyle Fletcher cuts a promo backstage and says he doesn't need anybody's help and he should be TNT champion. Adam Cole blindsides him and they brawl until the security pulls them apart, and Cole yells that he's a dead man. Mercedes makes her entrance and gets on the mic and she talks about her titles and compares herself to Owen Hart and her idol, the late great Eddie Guerrero, saying they're not as great as she is. That's why she's the CEO of AEW, and then comes timeless Toni Storm. Circling, Storm grabs a microphone and lays her AEW Women's World Championship on the mat between them. Mercedes says AEW fans are sick of the black and white and want a champion full of color. Toni says Mercedes arrived 441 days ago on a show named after herself and she's won titles and made history and remained undefeated, but she has never once spoken to or looked at Storm. Mercedes tells her patients, it's not about her, it's about Mercedes and her legacy, and she's not gonna go backstage shaking hands when she's the Beyoncé of women's wrestling. Storm says she's the Toni Storm of pro wrestling and swears to an unknown god that Mercedes has never met anyone like her. Mercedes admits she's different than the shy girl she met 10 years ago, but she's different too now, a CEO not a boss, and she's beaten the best from around the world. At All in Texas, they'll have the greatest women's match of all time, and Toni says they have a lot of similarities. They started young, struggled on the indies, found success, won trophies and flowers and left it all behind to follow their hearts and became exactly who they're meant to be in AEW. But there's just one glaring difference: while Mercedes wants all the titles, Storm needs only one. She has lived, cried, bled, and died for this title, so if she wants to ride the money train through the Toni tunnel, she hopes she can get deep enough. Mercedes says her hips aren't deep enough for the money train, and Toni Storm says somewhere a little girl with big dreams will watch them fight it all in and she'll say, holy shit, these bitches are crazy, and then she'll find out who the better woman is. She sincerely believes that Mercedes is the greatest of all time, but unfortunately for her, she happens to be timeless. Mercedes says she calls herself timeless, but she deserves her time to come to an end, and they agree that they'll see each other at All In. Mercedes offers a hand and Toni shakes it and pulls her in close and smells her real nice before kissing her challenger on her gloved hand. Mercedes pulls her in for the Moan Maker, reversed, Storm 0 reversed. Mercedes bails to the floor and they have a stare down before Toni's music hits and she poses. Mercedes awkwardly dances her little dance in the aisle to Storm's slow swelling orchestral music and the show goes off the air. How much you would rate this week's AEW Dynamite show? Tell me in the comments. Do not forget to subscribe the channel for regular updates, and thanks for watching.